Yeah, there's an alarm on the number of single parents. You know, there is research, whether you want to call it data, if you don't want to live the way the conventional society live, if you want to live by science, that a child grows better in a family of father and mother. That does not mean that those who don't have that arrangement are doomed, but in generality, it is a good thing. And so society prefers marriages. Society prefer sex within marriages. Society prefer that child grows with a parent as much as possible where there is a mother and a father. That does not mean there is no widow, there is no single lady who was abandoned, but that is the general architecture, and it works better. We know that there is a lot of push for comprehensive sex education. That has been a big debate in this country, opposed by the Catholic Church and other conservatives. The comprehensive sex education have simply trashed the celibacy and the message of sex should wait until marriage or maturity. They have called that message backward. They have called that message unmerited, because we live in a generation where people can access condom to avoid pregnancy and to avoid disease. So there is a lot of contestation there. And we can see that play up. It's just another way that somebody will bring up and say, if parents have failed to talk to children, then let the school teach them, and then let us revamp our curriculum to cover comprehensive sex education. Generally, I will argue that the Western countries are staring at much more crisis on children and teenagers than Africa. There have been stories of a pact of about 30 girls who decided, let us be pregnant in high school, things like that. If the Western society is the problem, they cannot at the same time be solution. I think that is logical. That if you are the problem, you cannot at the same time be the solution. If the Western lifestyle is the problem, it cannot at the same time be the solution to child upbringing. The Bible says, look at the olden paths and ways. That does not mean those ways cannot be modernized or customized for today's quick and world. But still, there is the principle. The principle of, yes, individual autonomy, but the child responsibility must be anchored within the family so that the child knows their role in the family. When we're growing up, every day you'll be asked, what have you done for your people? And that means even if you are studying, you see why it is going to better the society. This extreme individualistic that a child should not know anything except my toys, my want, what I want, have also raised people who are not responsible. I think the other story I wanted to comment about is that we have seen what is going on with the BBI. So what will happen? Suppose, for example, Deputy President is convinced that there is consensus in BBI. Will it then be a good document? And that is the challenge that probably I could ask most of people who are opposing it now. For myself, myself was Duncan. I will oppose BBI in the elevator. I will oppose it in the sitting room. I will oppose it in the bedroom. I will oppose it in studio. I will oppose it in byway and highway. I will oppose it here. I will oppose it there, because there is no need to have such a comprehensive, as the Muslim group said. This thing is as about, 20 or something constitutional amendment. It touches on every chapter except 2 of our constitution. And there is mischief there. Whoever thought of amendment did not think that that means you rewrite a constitution. Mr. President, you cannot talk of a constitutional moment and you are talking of an amendment. If it's a constitutional moment, come with a new constitution already. You cannot be patching, imepigwa kiraka, unajua zile nguo za ushago, unapata mtu ana viatu imepigwa kiraka 6.
Nataka ieleweke tena ilikuwa gani?
Kiraka on top of kiraka. This is what they want to do with the constitution. So constitutional moment called for new constitution. If you want, if you feel that we are in a constitutional moment, I think we are in corona moment.
Yeah.
But if you think you're in constitutional moment, don't use that Article 257 and 256 to patch up everything. Now, the Muslim pointed things that we have been talking and consistently, but they put it in a very apt way. One, if the mischief in this country have been imperial presidency, and I contend that it has been imperial presidency. If there is anything we need to watch, is the imperial presidency, the presidency that is not checked, the presidency that can and not just coming with clever argument. Has this BBI whittled down the power of presidency? And the answer is no. The answer is no. It has enhanced it. They are saying it has touched on some philosophical, the constitutional architecture. For example, the constitutional architecture is telling us under Article 10 the issue of sustainability. Is this thing sustainable? The constitutional architecture is talking of separation of power. To what extent are we mudding or not articulating proper separation of power? It's telling us about access to justice. To what extent are we weakening the judiciary? If you started with 9 points problem and you end up with judiciary at the end, which was not one of the 9 points, then at some point your research went haywire in the middle there, and some interest took precedence. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at even those who are pushing for it. They are faking it, fake it until you arrive. You can see that the price is, this is the only way I can do politics, and at whatever cost I must do this politics, because if I don't find a vehicle of doing politics, especially the invitation is for, if Deputy President could oppose it, that will be a Christmas gift for the architecture of BBI, because that will simply mean they can simply be us versus them and use the state's machinery. Now, it is not a good thing to piggy bank and make the constitution where you are boogeyman, where if you want to do your politics, you go and then set your politics. It's not political hygiene, as Mutunga said. I'm thinking that at this point there's issue of compromise, and there's the fear that is this thing going to pass, because there is intelligence showing that the thing is not popular. But you see, I think for ODM the issue is not whether it is popular or not. People opposed Kibaki's constitution and he failed, but at the end of the day he was able to determine the succession. So the price is not whether it succeed or not for ODM. The price is we are together with president and we fight, and whether we remain, we can be there saying, damn, we have failed like big dogs that we are. So how do we then work on 2022?
Let's talk about the timelines, Ojwang. They have said that you cannot change the constitution 1 year to general elections. Are these guys going to manage to beat the deadlines before 2021, August?
You know, I think they are running out of time. Of course, they will try to enhance it. The issue of signatures. Do you think one signature will account for all the 20-something provision you want, or people should give consent to every provision on that issue? I think one signature cannot at the same time, because I'm seeing a situation where people will come and say, you know, I signed that 1 million signature, but I like money in counties, but I don't like Prime Minister. And so that is another challenge they have, because it has bundled a lot of issues unrelated as one. Secondly, the IBC is not well constituted. In fact, the IBC can go for advisory and say, I don't think we are ready. This thing of pressurizing IBC and telling them you have 1 week to check my signature. Where do IBC have master signature for Kenyans? Where? So they are going to check it upon what? and you are giving them 1 week, and there are 3 commissioners and a few workers. So you can see that there's a lot of processes there that are going to be rushed. Now, if you take it through and check your signature and you bring it to counties, can counties, are you simply telling counties they are voting robots that they cannot amend or discuss? But if they are to discuss and amend, then you have to give them, the constitution actually give them a time frame of about 3 months. So everybody thought that for convenience they would have preferred parliament. All right? Everybody thought that for convenience they would have preferred parliament. It is quicker, in and out. That consensus they are building, let them not go through popular initiative, let them go through parliament, then we can say parliament after all has been under the executive, mumeifanyana huko juu na hizo mambo. So that, if they go through the parliament route, and I'm seeing them possibly going to reroute this thing, but you see that will not render the issue of this thing has been sanitized by Wanjiku, this thing has, tumepigia siasa juu yake na tumepata political capital. If they go through parliament, remember, both routes, whether you go through popular initiative or parliamentary system 256 or 257, it must go through parliament. Is parliament properly constituted to undertake constitutional amendment? Remember, they are barely hanging by thread. They have that injunction that is telling them don't go home yet, we are looking at what Chief Justice Maraga did. It will be very easy for any lawyer to say, even as you are giving them grace to check and to stay, are you going to allow them to amend the constitution? And I think most courts will be willing to say, no, you cannot undertake such a serious work. So in short, we might be looking at the end of this bad dream. It is bad dream because I think if by February, if by January, mid-January, Raila will take off running. He will realize hakuna kitu hapa, he will go and organize his politics a different way. And so maybe stalling it could be one of the measures. They are running out of time. And Bitok, I like what our court have done. Because as they run out of the time, they will try to rush these things. And court will not allow it. Because those times are prescribed in the law. Those times have measures that they protect. And so the integrity of process, it must play out. And if it does not play out, then the court will simply say you have not gone through the right process. So it is a time of anxiety for those who were seeing constitutional moment. But it could be a good thing that the constitution could live to see another day.
All right. Lucia, you pick up anything on the newspapers?
Historia BBI is so exhausting. It is so exhausting. It's not moving us forward. It's actually stagnating us. I don't understand the rush. One of our guests here said it took over 30 years to come up with the current constitution. And now 10 years later, we already want to change it. We've not even, hatujafikisha threshold at the time that it took to come up with it. I don't understand what the hurry is. If it really is something that is good for Wanjiku, then it can wait up to the next election cycle if they want to implement the expanded executive. But as of now, I don't see what the emergency is about with the BBI report, with the referendum. It just feels like tunachezwa, tunaharakishwa kwa sababu tunachezwa, and it's just not right. The whole thing is illegal. The whole document is illegal. The process was flawed from the beginning to this point where some of the steering committee members are even disowning the document itself. It's pure madness. We don't need to waste our energy anymore talking about it.
Haya, tuende kwa, nataka tuchukue video. There's a video of the SUPKEM guys just going to play in the video ya jana, alafu tukirudi tunaweza kuangalia pia, alafu turudi kwa psychology ya Ojwang, mambo ya Uganda pale, tutajua vipi, alafu tafunga bunga pale nje.
The constitution is the property of the Kenya citizens. It does not belong to individuals. The individuals have got borrowed powers given by the citizens. The constitution is the property of the Kenya citizens. It does not belong to individuals. The individuals have got borrowed powers given by the citizenry. It is delegated power which that the leadership has been given, and the instruments of powers have been given to them. But that the sovereignty comes from the people of Kenya. It is shocking that just in 10 years, the political leadership of this country have forgotten that we struggled for 20 years to put the 2010 constitution in place. And all of a sudden, they have arrogated themselves the powers that they don't have even within the constitution. Yeah. That two individuals can come up, shake hands, and they believe that they carry 40 million people's opinion. And they can come and say, we move forward with them. We have nothing against the individuals. We respect both of them. One is the head of state, the other one is leader of a major political party. We have a lot of respect for them. But at the same time, we have to be candid enough to say the truth. What is the truth? Neither Raila or Uhuru, for that matter, can make decision for 48 million Kenyans. It is the Kenyans to come up and speak for themselves. That's what happened when the 2010 constitution was put into effect. There was a process, there was discussions, there was consultations, there was validation, and the final promulgation of the constitution. Unless we go through a process like that, whoever brings it up, we are going to get to agitate within the people of Kenya, and we say no to it. The process that was done before must be followed, and no two individuals can dictate to us. And that is partly why we have got a fear of this constitution, because it is dragging us towards imperial presidency. The constitution is the property of the Kenya citizens. It does not belong to individuals. The individuals have got borrowed powers given by the citizenry. It is delegated power which that the leadership has been given, and the instruments of powers have been given to them. But that the sovereignty comes from the people of Kenya. It is shocking that just in 10 years, the political leadership of this country have forgotten that we struggled for 20 years to put the 2010 constitution in place. And all of a sudden, they have arrogated themselves the powers that they don't have even within the constitution. Yeah. That two individuals can come up, shake hands, and they believe that they carry 40 million people's opinion. And they can come and say, we move forward with them. We have nothing against the individuals. We respect both of them. One is the head of state, the other one is leader of a major political party. We have a lot of respect for them. But at the same time, we have to be candid enough to say the truth. What is the truth? Neither Raila or Uhuru, for that matter, can make decision for 48 million Kenyans. It is the Kenyans to come up and speak for themselves. That's what happened when the 2010 constitution was put into effect. There was a process, there was discussions, there was consultations, there was validation, and the final promulgation of the constitution. Unless we go through a process like that, whoever brings it up, we are going to get to agitate within the people of Kenya, and we say no to it. The process that was done before must be followed, and no two individuals can dictate to us. And that is partly why we have got a fear of this constitution, because it is dragging us towards imperial presidency.
That is Abdullahi Habdi, chairman of NAMLEV. Very quickly, your comments on that, Lucia. Lucia. Your comments on because I think that guy has really brought out the fundamental discussion. I actually like the way he has articulated it. It's very simple, easy for anyone to understand. Power belongs to the people. The politicians borrow this power. We actually lend our power to them. Tumewakopesha. So they shouldn't go ahead and think that they can use that power to come and abuse us. The consultation process was not. You know, Gerald Atasanye, Ipsos Sinovet wanafanya poll, there is a percentage that is acceptable as a sample size. I don't think 7,000 views is an acceptable sample size in a population of 47 million people. What percentage is 7,000, honestly? You know, it's like it's walichukua tu a certain group of people and then they went and sat down to go make decisions for the rest of us, 47 million of us. Hapo hakuna kitu wanaambia mtu, and you can actually see the disconnect in that document with the reality. So the Sheikh has just put it out there very well. Come to us, let us tell you, go sit down, formulate policy, come to us, let us tell you again. You know, invite us to the table. Don't go, decide you want to eat ugali matumbo, alafu ukuje utulazimishe tuikule. Tulikuambia tunataka ugali matumbo. Pengine si tunajisikia tu kukula fruit salad hiyo siku, ama pia tunaweza lala njaa tukunywa maji. Who told you we want ugali matumbo? Joan. At least you brought us samosas today. You're not thinking Veli Matumbo.
No, I know all of you wanted samosas. Nani hakutaka samosa hapa
Yeah,
mkono?
leo tumefurahi kabisa. Leo tumefurahi kwa kabisa auntie. Unajua.
Yeah. So what the gentleman is saying is profound. You cannot be a people by yourself.
Yeah.
Simple. When we talk of people, it connotates more than two. So you cannot be a people by your, however popular you are. Because otherwise, we are not a country of rules, we are a country of individuals. The whole genius of Constitution was to metamorphosize us to be a country of rules and institutions and not of individuals. And that institutions mean we, the people. So you cannot be a people by yourself, with your good self or bad self, however big you are or small you are not the people. And the people then, you cannot start a process that is parochial, narrow, and then you bring it to people to justify through Article 257. Look at the case in Nakuru Court. Omtata is saying, why can't the government also fund this constitutional review? It makes sense. If it is the two people that their constitutional vision is being funded by the state, why can't our court be funded? Why can't my vision of the constitutional amendment or my experiment be funded? So I mean, we must accept that does the consent to vote for somebody in 2017, Gerald, is a consent that this person will now do everything that pertain to my life as they will. Is that the value of consent? Because even those who are arguing that, let us be honest, these people carried our votes to do what? Was that vote to change the constitution?
Yeah.
Was that vote to uphold the constitution? I think it was a vote to protect and uphold the constitution. When they carried the Bible up on air, they said that I take the oath. Look at the presidential oath in that constitution. Look at the oath that the Right Honorable took with the people.
Which one? The one for Miguna?
Yeah, the Miguna oath. The oath B. All of them is to uphold the constitution, not to mutilate the constitution. So it is quite a stretch to say that because people voted for you for one thing, I mean, is it even fair to expect that because you are somebody's parent, then you have the children permission to do anything you want about them? I don't think so. It is the stretch, and as Githu Muigai will say, I'm using the word stretch in its most stretching way, elastic form. So we, the people, is still our constitution. You cannot use taxpayers' money. Initiate a process that is yours, that we all know what is eating the country. The question is, how did you get to know? Is it intuition? Is it by experiment? And once you have known, then you go through a process, and then you now want to railroad it back to Article 257 so that what waamue. We are not just there. It is like you walk on the street, two people are arguing their own argument, alafu wanakusimamisha wanakuambia, sasa wewe hebu amua kati yetu who is right. I don't want to decide. I don't want to be yes or no. I don't care about your constitutional moment. It is not mine. It is not joint. That vote you got,
You can deal with your own constitutional moment.
Yes. So then the attempt to now railroad it to Article 257 the best is let people decide. Where did the report come from? The report did not come from heaven. The report is a process that the SUPKEM said, that process of picking. Do you remember when we were growing up and in a team you'll say, hey, Gerald, your side, Duncan, his side, kila mtu pick watu. We kuja. We pia una pick. That is what happened to this gentlemen that were running this thing. Alafu usually, especially if you didn't know how to play, you will be the last one to be picked. Unasikia wanasema we enda hiyo site.
Ama wasema kulikuwa na gani alikuwa anaitwa Mweru. Walikuwa anacheza mahali pote. That's the weakling. Ule umekosa laini ndio naambia sasa mahali unapatana na mpira piga.
So this is how the teams were picked. That is not a people process. That is a person process. Wewe hiyo side, mimi hii side, to pick nani atakuja hii team. That process is irredeemably, and no amount of self cleansing can save that process. So that is what the SUPKEM chair is saying. The Muslims spoke very well. Usually they don't come out clear like this. And you know, I saw the tune of people like Wetangula who are saying this thing is ready. Now they were saying we cannot ignore some voices. The same to Mudavadi. Consistently, though it has been naggingly, but he has been saying, well, tusikizane kidogo, and then now he is maintaining that. I'm thinking that they're speaking for the head of state, who feels that this thing is going to be embarrassing. So we the people, and I insist that we the people, Pinyowacho, we are the honor of this country. We are the owners of this country. We decide what works, what does not work. We will tell you when we want a new constitution. We will tell you when we are tired of this constitution. And what we are telling you for now is respect this constitution. Do not use handshake to mutilate, to FGM, the holy constitution that we struggle for. In the name of, as long as Baba is okay with it, we are okay. No. This country, if Mandela, remember what Winnie Mandela and Mandela argument.
Yeah.
You know, Winnie Mandela told Mandela, just because you were jailed for 24 years, you cannot come to jail and give Boas everything and say that if it makes sense to you, it makes sense to us. Mandela, you are not the only one who suffered. I, as Winnie, I was suffering here. So if Mandela could be questioned, and if Mandela could be told you have sold the country by coming with consensus and having this walk where they were given Nobel Peace Prize, but sold the rights of the Africans, which Kina Malemba are now trying to bring back, there is no individual who can become with the people, even as powerful, as famous as you are. And finally, you know, we need to make use of what we read in schools. Everybody in Kenya who have gone through high school, have gone through set books, have gone through fasihi, kioo cha maisha ya jamii, have gone through literature, isn't it? If you read the book Shamba la Wanyama, or The Animal Farm, and I have a line here, it had become usual to give Napoleon the credit for every successful achievement and even stock of good fortune. You'll often hear one hen remarks to another, brother, under the guidance of our leader, Comrade Napoleon, I've laid 5 eggs in 6 days. Or you'll hear 2 cows enjoying a drink at the pool will exclaim, thanks to the leadership of Comrade Napoleon, oh, how excellent this water test. You know, ilikuwa tu ni upuzi shamba la wanyama. Oh, this PBI is good, thanks to our leader. You saw in my heart what I needed. How could I have even lived one day without BBI? that kind of shamba la wanyama. So here is a hen who have laid 5 eggs. It takes a cock and a hen. There is nothing to do with Napoleon, and he's testifying among the hen group that under the leadership of Napoleon, imagine 5 eggs in 5 days, 6 days, and the cow is saying this much, and I like how it sounds even in Swahili, shamba la wanyama mkimwa and all that. Haya maji ni masafi, haya maji, this water tastes great because of the great leadership of our comrade. What was happening there? People were simply lying to the kings. People have accepted that Napoleon has become with the people as we are seeing them. So make use of this literature. You paid some money, at least hata kama ni church bursary, kuna 20,000 ulilipua ukafanya hizi literature. Tumiaga hizo literature and look at your country, because literature and fasihi ni kioo ya maisha ya jamii. Look at it. And finally, George Orwell conclude by saying, that the test, this is what George Orwell says, that the test of liberty is to say to people what they don't want to hear. The test of liberty, if we have liberty and freedom of speech in this country, is to speak truth to power and say, you might think it's a constitutional moment, just like some people go to labor room and think it is time for labor, but it's constipation, or it is gas, and they are clearly and well directed and said, you might think you are feeling contractions, but believe me, you are not, it's still not there. We will not be the cows who are saying the water tastes sweet, the BBI water tastes sweet, because as cows, we have our owner, the comrade, the leader, have given us this water. Have your mind. And that mind means that prioritize your things. You are barely having oxygen in hospitals. You can't breathe. You don't have economy. Things are going haywire. Politics is confusing. 2020 is an year of survival. Whether you'll make it or not is almost 50-50. We don't know whether the world will remain the same as we know it. Yet, tell me of which country decide that that is the constitutional moment. In the world, not in the galaxy, in this world, which country will look at all these challenges and decide that all these challenges mean one thing? Constitutional moment. It doesn't make sense.
Acha tusikie video nyingine tukirudi.
I need to say that those who come here talking about NRM this, NRM has a lot of money, waning. Power is for keeping. It doesn't matter how good you are. Obote was a wonderful leader. Obote didn't steal. Obote didn't steal any money, he didn't build mansions, he didn't know. But he lost power twice. Idi Amin was a wonderful leader. Look at what he was able to achieve. But Idi Amin understood Sinoraj. He understood Sinoraj. That's why he built the UN, the building, the embassy in New York, in Japan. He built airports, underground airports. But he also didn't know how to keep power. Museveni knows how to keep power. He does. And he's not going to leave it like that. And he say, oh, you know what, you have too much money. He's not going to leave it. You know, listening to some of these MPs and some of the things that you are saying, I asked myself a question. Do you have to be an MP? Is politics the only thing you can do? If you don't have money, you go. If you want ideas, go to university, set up a think tank, go to Chikubo. There's a lot of ideas there. You know? Why are you here saying politics? The Ugandan frame of politics is not for ideas. It's not. How many ideas do we see in parliament? How many? Yeah? I have been to Mbale during elections. I've been to Soroti. You start speaking, you tell me this is wrong. As soon as you start speaking, people queue up, waiting for you to finish. And if you don't have money to give them, they'll burn the place down. Do you genuinely think that you are going to reverse that trend? Listen to this. Those people who want money, haven't they democratically chosen that they should receive it? Are they not voting with their demand? Why don't you want to give it to them? If you don't have it, choose another profession. Let those all go and work out money, and when you have enough, come back and stand before them. Now, I heard somebody saying that MPs are buying ambulances. My son is an MP in Mubende. And I told him to buy ambulances for people. What's wrong with that? Your illusion is that government is the one to sort out our country. Is that politicians are the ones that have solutions. You are deluded. The government is not going to do no such a thing. The government will focus on keeping power, and you can't blame it, because power is for keeping. So, you know, if I was in power, even in your own home, can I come and say, you relinquish power, let me stand here and we share it, and you agree? So do you think NRM is crazy? to want to relinquish power. You get a vote, a piece of paper, you drop it in a box and government falls. Really? That is delusional. Now, my brother Mugisha Muntu, you might not know, you are a brilliant, Brother Mugisha Muntu, you are a brilliant politician. You are intelligent, you are humble, you are strong, but look at how they have fought you in FDC. Yeah? Why don't you talk about that? If you can't have cohesion in the own party that you started, how was this power achieved in 1986? How many people voted for Museveni to come to power? It was achieved like this. You are busy swinging. But now, how do you want it to be given out? So, it is true that we should go to areas and sensitize people, and I wish you good luck. But I would like to be there when you are really making a presentation telling citizens in these villages who hardly have money to buy posho and saying, we won't give you money anymore. You have to vote for us on account of ideas. What a joke you are thinking. What a joke. Okay. Now, there's a brother who mentioned that I talk about whites. What is whites? Who are the whites? There are no people called white. I talked about the Anglo-American Empire. Most white people are in the same boat as us. America has over 26 million poor people. Some of them live in tents. And those of you who talk about corruption, I think you are giving Africa fake news, a bad name. Let me give you corruption. In 2008, when the global economy collapsed, how was it achieved? With subprime mortgages. Getting a building like this and giving you a mortgage where you pay $100 a month so you can walk away. And getting these mortgages and student loans, putting them together and creating a collateralized debt obligation. Then getting these rating companies, the so-called Standard & Poor's, Moody's, which come and rate us and everybody quotes it in the newspaper, useless organizations. And they rated these CDOs. They gave them AAA rating, the same as government bonds. Then they got AIG to ensure and sell it to external investors. How much money was lost globally in every economy created by these so-called thieves and robbers who stole a whole country? How was America achieved? They stole the country from the dark-skinned Native Americans. The Rapahos, the Arawak, the Namahoe, the Grunchi, the Tiano, the Tokoma Sioux. They killed them all. And then you stand here now to give us an example of democracy. If Uganda has chosen its own brand of democracy, based on you having vote wealth, we talk about bride wealth. Can you go and complain that they have asked you for 100 cows? And if people, they might, we will, I've heard that. Yes, we can. Why don't you say like Obama, yeah? You keep Guantanamo Bay and still say, yes, we can, yeah? You invade other countries and say, yes, we can. But that is the oldest semblance of European military intelligence written by a fictitious character called Homer in 580. Why fictitious? Question mark, because the Greeks were not writing. But all these Greeks studied in Africa. Or Plato, who wrote several books, and Aristotle, who accompanied Alexander the Greek. We don't call him the Greek because he was a murderer, a thief, everything. So we call him the Greek. He xeroxed most of the writing that he found in Africa. So please do not bring Aristotle. These are children compared to us. Me, I study Sheikh Anta Diop. So I don't study Aristotle.
Juang, I'll start with you because that's your philosophy of thought that we absolutely see. Break it down first.